Hello, this is Mad Cat, and welcome to another edition of, well, this really isn't an edition of anything, but, well, Mad Cat, smash, feminism, rah! It's been so long since I've done that. I've just really wanted to do it again. So, yes, I'm
Oh,
a dork. I'm a big dork, but I love myself. Oh, yeah. Whoa. All right, so we have a very special episode today. I know I'm not really doing a whole lot of shows these days. I'm trying to get my life back in order. Plus, all of like my recording equipment is back in Philadelphia, and I'm here in Arizona. But I saw this today. I saw this about a week ago, and I'm like, oh, I gotta talk about it, and I've got to bring Miss March, not Miss March, Miss February. I keep inverting February and March. I don't know why I do that.
probably because it's my birthday in March.
By the time anyone watches this will be in March.
All right.
So I have Miss February here, and um, since this is February and we did the lovely ladies' calendars, it just seems kismet that she's on here today. So, how are you doing, Rachel?
I'm doing good. I've got a very busy toddler behind me. So, like I said, I'm going to mute between you talking and me talking so we can make this a little more professional. But yeah, I'm in Massachusetts right now. I'm originally from Canada, but I spend a little time out here with the hubby. And I'm enjoying this winter that they have. So, yeah, I'm doing great.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the winter as well. I was in Michigan about 2 months ago, and I certainly didn't hit the hardest of it, but it was starting to get that way. And then 2 years prior, I was in Pennsylvania, so definitely got to know the winters there. And now it's just like so warm here. All right, I'm just loading up the chat right now for this wonderful show. So before we get started, got the lovely ladies calendar. And what me and Modern Medusa are doing is every month we do a video. Now she's mostly doing the videos, but since I have Rachel here, I'm just going to take advantage of the situation. So this was January, which was Anna Cherry. And this is Miss February, this lovely woman that's on the channel with me. And I know what you're thinking. What did I have to pay her to get her on this channel today? So with every month, we have facts around a specific theme. And this theme was male genital mutilation, which is perfect for Valentine's Day. So
Yeah.
I'm going to I'm going to read these facts real quick, read a couple of the holidays that we picked out, and then we'll get our show started. So, for male genital mutilation, it was really hard to find facts for this. I mean, we know a lot about it, but there's really no hard facts out there that really talk about it, since in the United States, no one really takes it as a serious issue, at least no government lobby. I'm going to take these off because I'm tired of the monitor in the glass. All right, so we picked out 4 facts. Fact 1, unlike the US, 75% of males in the first world countries are intact and suffer no medical problems. Now, this is important because one of the common arguments for circumcision is that men might suffer medical problems if they don't get it, which is not true because most of the other first world countries don't really practice it and they're fine. So that just proves right there that that argument is moot. Next fact, 7.4% of pediatric urological visits at Massachusetts General Hospital were for MGM complications. I know 7.4 doesn't sound like a lot, but in a year, I imagine that they have well over 100,000 to a million patients. And 7.4% of that, even 100,000, is still going to be 7,400 children. Foreskins are sold to company for cosmetic products and skin grafts. I mean, there was once an episode of Oprah where she talked about a cosmetic product, and it said that it used foreskin. Now, I was trying to find what the price was, but I couldn't find anything very specific. I think you probably have to know that business in order to find that information. But I think that one of the reasons why hospitals push male circumcision is because they make money from it. And with anything in life, if you want to know why people do something, you just follow the money. And if this practice were to be considered illegal, hospitals would lose out a lot of money from this. And then lastly, 1% of all neonatal deaths are from male genital mutilation. Would you like to make any comments about any of the things I've read?
Yeah, like when you said about the deaths, and it's something important to mention is that the death is usually from bleeding out because babies don't have a whole lot of blood. And I think was it 1 ounce or 2 ounces is all they need to lose to die. When my eldest son was born, I didn't really know anything about circumcision. I just thought, well, if you have a boy, he surely is supposed to be circumcised, right? Because all my friends were doing it, everybody else was doing it. So you just believe that since everyone's doing it, it's probably good. It probably has to be done. I asked the doctor about it, the doctor who performed the circumcisions, and he gave me this look, and he's just like, what? He was born with club feet already, so he was going to have to go through surgery. And he says, you want to put him through another procedure? And I'm like, oh, well, isn't he supposed to? He says, what, you want him to bleed out into his diaper? And I'm like, they bleed? That's how ignorant I was. And lucky for me, I came across a doctor who didn't like doing them. And he kind of set me straight on it. He's like, no, it doesn't need to be done. Are you religious? Why do you want to do it? I said, no, I just thought it had to be done. He says, no, it's absolutely unnecessary. And I'm like, okay. So lucky for me. Otherwise, my boy would have gone under the knife. But yeah, there's that. And you've heard the story of David Reimer from Winnipeg in Canada?
I don't know if I have.
This was, I believe, I'm trying to think of the year that this happened. I believe this was in the 60s. There was a doctor trying a new tool on him and basically cut his penis completely. Mutilated it so bad that they tried to turn him into a girl.
Oh, I have heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was around the time that they now, since that time, they've been pushing for transgenderism and they think that it's okay. But what ended up happening is that it messed him up so badly, he ended up committing suicide. I think it was in his late 30s, if I'm correct.
Yeah. So, going from that to something more bright, today is Boy Scout Day, which we have listed in our calendar. Days coming up in February you might want to watch out for. Tomorrow is Pizza Day. I already had pizza this week, but if you haven't, order a pizza tomorrow. Then there's... What's up?
Pizza Day is for every day.
Then on Sunday the 11th is Inventor's Day. The 13th is Mardi Gras, followed by the 14th, which is Valentine's Day. Those two holidays really go together, I think. Then we've got President's Day, and then on the 22nd, we got Margarita Day. So, a lot of fun coming up in February. So, I'll mention this at the end of my show, but if you haven't gotten a calendar yet, we do have a few available right now. you can go down to our PayPal link and just send us $15 and your address, and we can go ahead and get one out to you.
Yeah,
So,
goes to cause.
yes, it goes to our veterans.
That's right.
All right, so our show today is about male empathy, and I talk a lot about this in a lot of my videos in the past, and that's the one thing that I like to say a lot is that in this world today, men and women care what happens to a woman, but no one cares what happens to a man. And Rachel did one of her social experiments. I mean, seriously, every few months she's doing a social experiment. I feel like every time I respond to her, I'm like, is this going to be a metric for her research?
Yeah, am I picking your brain now, or am I just asking a question out of, curiosity, right?
You're right. But no, she did a social experiment, and I don't even think, well, and you can answer this definitely when we get to it, but it kind of seems like at first you didn't really plan for it to be a social experiment, but when things started to happen, that's when the wheels got turning.
I did and I didn't. What ended up happening was that these were posts that I made, disguised to look like it was a screenshot taken somewhere else. What I did is I blacked out the name and the face. And I made up two scenarios, and one was a woman writing into a group, and one was a man writing into a group. And the first one I posted, of course, was going to be the woman, because I know people automatically are going to pick at the point that I, exposed a woman who posted something, you know. I
Well,
got
let me stop you there. Let me stop you there because I want to actually read your third post in this series to kind of start off with so everyone kind of has a full scope before we read the first two original posts. Because really, the posts by themselves, and I think you'll agree with me, Rachel, are not so shocking. But what's shocking is people's reactions to them. Hold on one moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. All right, so I apologize for that. So let me go ahead and read this. Let me get my glasses back on. This computer sucks, so I can't really do a screen share of this. But if anyone's been following recent posts I've made, you will see the drama that was created out of the simple social experiment to see who would be favored in similar scenarios, but reversed genders. This is in no way meant to insult anyone or trick people. This was to prove a point. I was harassed, called names, doxxed, stalked, and blocked over the post I shared, where a woman stated that her husband wanted intimacy with her, was making her skin crawl, and that she had friend zoned him. The problem these women had with me, no men attacked me for sharing this. For sharing this was that I had no right to take a screenshot of anything on social media, even if I blacked out the name and picture and made the post anonymous. They had no issue at all for this woman talking trash about her spouse, which was the focus of the original post. Instead, they made up scenarios not mentioned in the original post of what could possibly be the issue as to why this woman would say what she did, and how dare I mock her for these possible issues she perhaps could be suffering. Yet there was hardly an issue with the post about the man complaining that he lost attraction to his wife. Instead, he was shamed for being civil and being honest about it, appealing for help. The woman's post did not ask for help, but rather it was a rant. Yet the man was a disgusting piece of shit. Notice how the man was the jerk in both scenarios. and how the woman was pitied. I'm not going to say that I wouldn't feel bad for the woman going through anything postpartum, the extra weight, the loose skin, and even perhaps, and I say perhaps because it wasn't mentioned, but let's entertain it since it's suggested numerous times, postpartum depression. If I've had postpartum depression really bad, 3 times in fact. Once so bad that I was disassociated with the baby and had to force myself to bond. Another time, I had anxiety so bad I couldn't drive 5 minutes from the house to run an errand without having a panic attack. So, yes, I get how awful it can be. I've had 5 babies. I'm actually going to stop this here because I think we kind of get the point of what's happened to you
Right.
in this scenario that, you made 2 posts and people attacked you. Um, do you want to go into more detail about that?
No, I mean, I basically covered that they attacked me over something they thought was like basically they didn't attack the point of the post. They missed the point of the post and they said, "Well, how dare you? She probably has postpartum depression," even though it wasn't mentioned. And she's asking for help even though she wasn't asking for help. All she was doing was she was slamming her husband over social media. And I said, "Where did she mention postpartum depression? Where did she ask for help for postpartum depression? There was no place." For me to share a post where a woman would actually come and say, "Look, I have postpartum depression. I have no attraction to my husband. I need help." I would not have shared something like that. I would not have put it up and said, "Oh my God, you guys, look at this. I can't believe she's not attracted to her husband." No, because she stated, I've got some hormonal issues right now. No, but that wasn't stated. So it was all something that they thought might be her issue. Nothing.
So, in other words, people were making excuses for her.
Yes.
And this is unfortunately something we see a lot in society that, you know, if a man, commits a crime, well, let's say domestic violence, for instance.
Yeah.
If a man abuses a woman, he's a piece of shit because you don't hit a woman. But if a woman hits a man, and you saw this on What Would You Do, everyone was making excuses for this woman. It's like, oh, well, the man probably did something to deserve it.
He had it coming, right?
Because
Yeah.
it's not normal behavior for women to do this. So when they do it, there has to be an extenuating circumstance.
Mm-hmm. There was an interview. Which interview am I thinking of here? Harvey? Is that the right one?
I don't know what
Uh,
you're talking about.
okay. You remember Lorena Bobbitt? Everybody knows her.
Yeah.
She cut off her husband's penis, and he was interviewing her, and everybody in the crowd was laughing about it while she was stoically discussing how she just cut it off. I'm like, why is that funny?
Well, and then in recent years, there was the show The Talk, where these women like Sharon Osbourne was discussing how this woman cut a penis off and then threw it in the garbage disposal.
Remember
And
that?
these women here were just laughing about it. And even one person's like, well, what if the situation was reversed? And they're like, oh, yeah, this is definitely bad if it happened to a woman. But it's just so funny that it happened to a man. And later they apologized, not really apologized, but they were kind of forced to apologize, but only because people complained about their remarks.
Right. They were caught in shitty behavior, so they thought, "Oh crap, I better, cover up so that I don't look bad." And it just goes to show that as a society, and I've seen other social experiments where you see like a woman beating on a man, and there's a camera crew, and people will stand there and laugh, and they won't help the guy. And then you see a man beating on a woman, and everybody gets involved, you know. And it's true that more often than not, a guy is physically stronger, but when a woman fights, she doesn't always use her fists. Like she'll grab her high heel, she'll grab an object. My husband, for instance, was abused by his ex, and she actually threw a steak knife at him, and it went right into his leg. And he didn't report it because she threatened him and said, "If you go report it, I'm going to say you hit me first." So, I mean, if he would have gone to the ER, they would have said, "Well, what did you do to her?" You know, she was just psychotic. So, women tend to use objects that will hurt because we know we don't always have the physical strength to match a man. But it doesn't mean because of that we're not going to beat on a man. So, there's this stigma that women aren't able to do so.
Well, and that's recently happened to me. Anyone who has watched, my recent videos knows that when I was in Michigan, I was um, physically abused with the girl I was living with. We were having a conversation. Well, it was an argument basically, but I had mentioned, well, I won't say what the argument was about, but basically, she ran over, picked up my laptop, and started beating me with it.
Wow.
And she later told me that her goal was she wanted to destroy my laptop, but she also wanted to hurt me. And I didn't really care so much about her hitting me as much as it's my laptop. I mean, right now, this is my whole world. And if I lose this laptop, I mean, I have my freelance writing going on right now. I have a lot of projects.
Right.
If I don't have a computer, I don't have a future. So, and I didn't report her to the cops. And she had told me, because later I said, I could have reported you to the cops. And she denies this now, but at the time, she said, well, if that happened, I would have told them that you had abused me because I'm not going to jail.
Right.
So, no, I definitely know what that's like now, and it's not very pleasant, but
no.
A lot of people have shown me support, but of course, I know a lot of people that are in the movement. But I'm sure if I told a general bystander to be like, well, you're stronger than her, why didn't you fight her off? It's like, I don't want to go to jail.
Yeah. Yeah. And what would happen is a lot of the time domestic violence calls are made by your neighbor. They'll hear screaming. And a lot of the time the woman will scream really loud and make it sound bad. And the police will say, well, look, he laid hands on me. I've got like fingernail marks or I've got handprints. Just because you're trying to subdue her. Because, I mean, a lot of the time, yeah, I mean, it is messed up if a guy's going to beat on you just for no reason. If he starts it, kind of thing. But a lot of the time, if you retaliate, he knows he's in for it. He knows he's going to get blamed. So all he can do is just walk away or just kind of try to defend himself.
So, can you read the first post that you made with the woman?
Okay, I have it right here. Okay, the post that I made, I'll just read you how I titled it, and it says, she feels bad, quote unquote, that she friend zoned her husband after having a baby. He makes her, quote unquote, skin crawl. This was shared from a mom's discussion group. It actually wasn't, but that's what I said. And here it says, is anyone else really struggling with sex? My husband wants it really bad and has hinted that he's feeling unloved because we're not doing it. If we do, it's rare and rushed because our child has a radar for that thing. So it's really a quick throwing him a bone thing. I get no enjoyment out of it. He makes advances all the time, and to be honest, it makes my skin crawl. Maybe I'm just touched out, but other than a hug or a quick kiss, I want to be left alone. He can't cuddle with me without copping a feel, so that's it. I've already asked him to stop groping me all the time. I thought maybe if he gave me some space and an opportunity to develop interest, I would, but no. His newest thing is to step right in front of me when I'm in the middle of doing something, and he makes me kiss him for several minutes. If I don't do it, he pouts. but I just feel impatient waiting for it to be over so I can continue what I was doing. I feel really guilty because I know he needs affection, but I feel so smothered. I friend zoned my husband.
Now, is this a real post or a fake one?
It was inspired by a real post. I actually was sent a screenshot from a mom's group where that was the theme, but she was actually much worse in the original one. I modified it. I used the same kind of theme and took a screenshot and put kind of my own thing in there, my own wording. That way nobody can say that I took it from somebody else.
Which they did. Now, let me ask you your opinion since, you've been a mother several times. Congratulations on that. I know I wasn't there for any of them. Um, what's your opinion of what this woman is going through? I mean, certainly having a baby, that's going to kind of change things for a woman.
Yeah.
And, she doesn't feel like she wants to be affectionate, but my recommendation to her is talk to your husband. I mean, if he doesn't know he's doing something wrong, then when you finally tell him, hey, I'm getting tired of you touching me all the time, he's going to feel horrible knowing that he did something so wrong. But if you don't tell him, how can he be responsible?
Well, there's that, and like she's not telling him, and she says she throws him a bone just to get him off of her. So basically, you're giving him pity sex, so he doesn't think there's a problem because you're giving it to him. So of course he thinks, well, she wants to have sex with me. She's having sex with me. She wants to kiss me because she's kissing me back. You know, that's the problem. Women often tend to post their issues of their relationship online rather than talk to the husband about it. I mean, come on. Your issue is with him. It's not with all these people you don't even know on social media. And you're asking for women for advice? Why wouldn't you? I mean, if you can't talk to your husband, why don't you find a male friend to talk to about it? Maybe your brother, maybe your dad. I don't know. Get a male perspective. But on his part, I think that maybe he's feels more attracted to her after seeing her give birth. Some men go through that where they go, "Oh my God, she just brought my child into this world. She's amazing. She's got bigger boobs. She's breastfeeding. She looks more sexual to me. Like she's bigger and curvier." I don't know. Some guys go through that, and for her to say that he disgusts her and doesn't want to be touched by her, I can't relate to that. I know some women say they've gone through that. I can't relate because the way I see it, if you don't want your husband touching you, you're not attracted to him. You're just not. You don't want him to be. And I think maybe she had that issue. Maybe she married a guy for resources. And maybe he's not helping around the house like she wanted him to after, because she's not communicating. And that makes her hate him even more. Maybe she wasn't attracted to begin with, and this just makes it worse. She kind of feels like I'm giving you sex in return for all these resources. Now I detest you because I went through childbirth and that hurt, and I'm tired. And, it's not his fault. But some women do that. Some women, when they're in labor, will scream at the guy and say, "This is your fault. You did this to me." So maybe she's got this attitude where she's blaming him for all her issues. Those are just my thoughts. I never felt that way.
Well, I'm thinking there's several thoughts that I'm getting. Like a woman sitting there screaming at a man and saying, "This is all your fault." And, one of the things I hear about men and paternity rights is like, well, if you can't handle the responsibility, don't pull down your fly. And it's like, well, if a woman can't handle responsibility, don't spread your legs. I mean,
right. That's the thing that a lot of women try to say, but I say, you know what? How easy is it for a woman to get sex compared to a man? A woman just has to show up. We are basically the sexual gatekeepers. I've seen women of all levels of attraction and non-attraction getting men. I've seen women of all ages getting men, women of all sizes getting men. But you don't see that with men. Unless you've got the money or you've got some sort of a bodybuilding body. Yeah. I mean, yeah. No, how easy is it to get sex when you see other women? So really, we are in control of the market. We're in control of it, and it's our womb. We're carrying this baby for 9 months. You don't think we should be more selective? Morning sickness, sciatic pain, lower back pain, constantly having to pee, all these other. I mean, you get a whole pile of symptoms from pregnancy, and you can risk hemorrhaging, bleeding to death. Every baby, I'm a bleeder because I have natural red in my hair, and it's typical of redheads to be bleeders. So after every birth, I risked bleeding to death. I almost did twice. I mean, it's a danger for us. So why would we just let any man get us pregnant?
No, and that's a very good point right there. But the other thing I'm thinking with this post specifically, and this will kind of segue into the reactions that you got, is in hearing this post, one of the things that I've reported on my channel is this concept that if a woman regrets having sex, it's rape. And
Yeah.
that somehow a man is supposed to know that when a woman gives consent and then later changes her mind about that consent, that a man should have known at the time, like, hey, baby, you want to have sex? Yes, let's have lots and lots of sex. Oh, sorry, I think you'll regret it later. So
Right.
we won't have sex. You know, that's not going to happen. And even if it did, I'm sure there'd be some feminists out there saying, well, that's just rape to tell a woman that she doesn't want to have sex.
Mm-hmm.
But so I think that a lot of people who responded to you might have been looking at it like, well, obviously this man is so horrible that he's trying to have sex with her even when she doesn't want it, and he should respect her. But what were some of the remarks that you got for this?
Let me see here. I actually blocked quite a few people, so I don't know if I have every remark here. Um, actually, if you went to the post, these people won't be blocked from you, so I'm not sure if you want me to send you the link to the
Yeah,
post.
go ahead and send me the link.
Because I had no choice but to block them because I don't allow that kind of language on my posts. There was some pretty harsh words. Basically, they're like, I think the very first word that came from one woman was "you cunt," and how dare you share this from an anonymous group? How dare you? And I mean, I blacked out the name. It was actually me, but I wasn't going to tell her that. You know, it was based on a concept. It was based on what I heard or saw in another mom's group. Yes, but this was my screenshot. It wasn't hers. But you know, all these harsh words, and I'm like, wait a minute, where in the post does it say she has postpartum depression? Well, obviously she does. She doesn't want to be touched. I'm like, no, but I know women who haven't had babies that don't want to be touched by their husbands because they hate them. So how can you say if she never mentioned it that she actually has that? So I mean, there was a lot of accusations and assuming, and nobody paid attention to what she said about her husband on social media. It's like this was the point of the post. You missed the point. The point is not whether she may or may not be going through this. The point is, why would you go to social media? Why would you say these things about him? None of these women were defending the guy. Like, oh, poor thing, she doesn't want to be touched. Oh, poor thing. Completely missing how she bashed him.
Well, and with the exception of YouTube, because YouTube has been kind of my therapy, because I get to just talk to people and people can respond to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I told you about the abuse I suffered, and
A little bit.
that was one. What's up?
I did hear a little bit about it. You mentioned it a few times.
Oh, okay. But that was one thing that I really tried not to do was blast it on Facebook.
Right.
One, because we have like a common friend, and I didn't want that friend to know something, but I didn't want to blast it to the public. And you could kind of say, well, you blasted it to YouTube, but to be fair, I only have like 500 followers, 550. It's not like I'm going to really, and I only get like 30 views, so it's not like a whole lot of people really see it anyways. But
Yeah.
I didn't want to blast it for the entire world, mostly because I didn't want people to think that I was victimizing myself. But, not everyone needs to know every single thing that happens in someone's life, and especially something so important as to what this fictitious woman was going through. It's like, and this is another problem we're seeing where people face difficult situations in their lives and decide to go to social media. And this pretty much happened because of the Weinstein thing. And I'm sure Harvey Weinstein is guilty. Oh, I have it selected on you. I'm sure Harvey Weinstein is guilty, but then all these people are coming forward. And my video with about Scott Baio, he pointed out very clear. It's like, if you think I've done something to you, you need to go to the police. You need to say to the police, hey, this guy raped me, not go to social media and try to get the court of public opinion on your side. Because that doesn't.
What I think a lot of the time as a woman, I kind of can see what her point was. And women like to have this herd mentality, and they like to have an echo chamber where they want other women to sympathize with them. Rather, you ever heard that analogy where when a woman has an issue, she doesn't want it solved, she just wants you to listen.
Yeah.
And so that's why she wasn't really appealing for help. She was kind of just like, come on and rant with me. I would feel better if you guys would all join in. I mean, that's the theme I got from it. That's the vibe. It's like, just join in and tell me how much you hate your husbands after having a baby so we can all laugh about how ridiculous our husbands are and how we find them so like miserable and unattractive. And I don't know. That's just, I thought she just wanted to go on this rant party with everybody. I didn't see
wanted justification for how she felt. She wanted other people's like, yes, you are right. And that was one thing
for feeling this way.
It was one thing that I wrote in a recent book that I did about leadership, is that the one common factor amongst all humans is we want to feel right about what we feel. Any feeling, opinion, or idea we have this great need for someone to tell us that it's right. If you want to send that link to me, by the way, so I can look some of those up, I'll go ahead and do that.
Okay, hold on. I did send it, but I have an issue with my phone. It keeps cutting out of the Wi-Fi. I don't know why. It should work now. There we go. Now it's sent.
Sweet. So, yeah. And it really seems, there's a lot of talk about toxic masculinity. And to me, this is toxic femininity.
Yeah.
They just want to bash on men. They want to say men are the cause of all the problems, and they don't want a resolution. They don't want to be told, hey, maybe you should go talk to your husband about this. They want, yeah, you're right. Go girl power. Yeah.
Hate him. It's okay to hate him. Yeah, go ahead. We all hate our husbands too. It's okay, That's the vibe I got. I think what she had was some kind of a hatred before the baby was born already, and it was just amplified. That's my theory, but I don't know. Hormones can do weird things to women. I try to stay off of social media when I have PMS because I just feel like there's a shitstorm going inside my ovaries and it's driving my brain insane. So I can't think logically. And it's true. Like, there's certain days of the month where you feel like I have a clear mind. I can think perfectly. Hormones just do weird things to us women. And I think all of us are bipolar to a certain extent because of it. Because there's something wrong with your mind, but there's nothing you can do about it. And it's frustrating. It's kind of like, man, I wish I could be level-headed. Guys don't have this hormone thing. We do. So it kind of drives us a little nuts. So I'm not saying that she's not justified in feeling that way if it's hormones. Like, I don't know. I've heard many women say that they go through that and they love their husband. But I think sometimes it's fueled by some kind of an issue you had beforehand. Because for me, like, I had postpartum depression, but feeling touched out. I mean, how would you want to cuddle the baby but not touch your husband? I mean, that's different. Touching your kids and touching your husband is two different things. There's
Okay.
different protection.
All right. So I'm going to read a couple of these. Let me put my glasses back on. I'm getting more blind in my old age. I'm not going to read these specific names because I don't want to call anyone out, but one person that's obviously a female. Oh, wait, I just assumed gender.
Uh-oh.
She responds after reading your initial post. Are you serious? She just had a baby and is touched out. We don't owe our husband sex at all. At all was put in all caps.
Mm-hmm.
She is literally defining PPD, and you're shaming her for it. She is reacting. She is reaching out for help and support, and you're blasting her for it. Her husband is literally sexually assaulting her, and here you are laughing at her and saying she's in the wrong. What's this girl's name? Because I want to apologize to her and help support her instead of tear her down. Her husband is literally sexually assaulting her?
It's rape in her eyes. Literal
Yeah.
assault. It's literal assault to be begging on your hands and knees and licking her toes for sex, and she throws you a bone. That's him sexually assaulting her.
Yeah.
Him wanting to have affection with her is sexual assault now. As his wife, she's not supposed to give him sex at all. Okay. Yes, after having a baby, you can't have sex right away. It's understood. But this was from a group where her baby would have been about 3 to 6 months old already. You're safe. You are safe for sex. You're good to go. You are healed up down there. It is safe. Yeah. So it's not like she's all like torn up down there and stitched and bleeding, and he's trying to force a phallic object up there. That would be uncalled for. Yeah, that's right. So I mean, I'd be like, holy cow, whatever.
And even if she might still be a little tender down there, I mean, it stretched to a pretty far amount. I mean, just talk to your husband. It's like, yeah, still not ready yet.
Well, I didn't even wait for the green light after Vivian was born. It was 10 days after she was born, actually. I had to beg for it because my husband was concerned for my well-being. He says, but the doctor hasn't said yet, and I don't want to hurt And I'm like, oh, but please, I feel just fine. I stopped bleeding. I'm all good. And, against the doctor's wishes. But you know your own body. Lucky for me, I've never looked like a grenade went off down there. So I never had stitches. So I was good, But if you're feeling up to it, it's obviously going to be fine for your case. But I mean, I was more attracted to him after the baby was born than ever. So I don't understand this, I hate you, don't touch me now kind of attitude.
Well, I don't mean to sound like a queer, but you are married to Thiago, so I mean, I wondered how you went 10 days. So here's another one. It's absolutely disgusting to take something that was posted in a private Facebook group and blasted it on your public Facebook. I added you because you seem like a good person. I was obviously wrong, and all you want to do is shame people and be popular. Well, you can fuck off. Stop shaming people, you disgusting. And there are children present, so I won't say that word.
The word, yeah. Yeah. Was this the one whose name starts with a K?
J.
Okay, there was a J and there was a K. The one with the K, I actually said you are one to talk because you blast your husband on social media all day talking about how he watches porn and doesn't have sex with you. So she sexually shames him every day. He won't give me attention. Wah. He watches porn all day. Wah. And then when I bring it up, she says, no, how dare you say that? I'm happily married and he was made for me. And I'm like, why are you lying? Like, you always complain about the dude. But you come here and you want to blast me for this anonymous post, yet you make everything known to the public about your marriage. It's kind of hypocritical.
Well, it's good to see that a couple of our common friends, really see this for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That, it's this woman actually being horrible rather than the husband.
Yeah.
So let me see if I can find one more and then we'll move on to your second post. But I guess that's the end of the list. Hold on. Yeah, that's the end. But those two posts really show. Oh no.
They went on for quite a while, actually.
Well, this one's by a man. Doing my best to mansplain. While we men should be nice to her, understanding and all that, with a wife who has borne his children, why is it that men who must be constantly be understanding? Oh, okay. I guess this is actually in support of the man. Okay. I only read these for like 2 seconds and then I'm like, oh.
I don't remember any guys having any issues with it. They noticed right away, so like, oh my God, I'd feel awful if my wife did that to me on social media and said those things about me.
Yeah.
But why did these women not see that? It's because they themselves don't have that kind of respect for their husbands to notice that.
I mean, it's one thing to say this amongst your close personal friends, but this was a group for pregnant women on Facebook. And while there is an anonymous nature to it because it's not a public group, you're
Yeah.
still basically telling strangers all about your sex life.
Yes.
And while I'm the kind of person that thinks that people should be more open about their sex life, I'm not going to sit there and complain to someone about my sex life. That's a conversation between me and whomever I'm having sex with.
Exactly. It's personal. Now, if she would have, like, I mean, if this fictional woman or the woman I got the inspiration from, had she said, uh, in a more respectful tone, I'm just not attracted to him and I do love him. I'm just having issues. What should I do? I would have respected that. I'd have been like, oh, she is asking for help. But this just looked like a let's blast our husband on social media kind of post.
Right.
That's the tone it had.
And the only time that I see any man blasting any woman at all, and even then it's not nearly as bad as this, is maybe MGTOW men who are like, yeah, well, all women are bad, because I've been screwed over by them. And even then, it's a little justified because of some of the horrors they've gone through. Hell, I sometimes scared that I might be one bad incident with a woman to be MGTOW. I haven't yet, still have hope that women are good, but even then, they try to keep it as anonymous as possible, and they don't really go into specifics.
True. You don't see them putting a name on there. See, this woman had the original post, she had a picture of her and her husband in the profile picture. All you had to do was click on it and you would see his face there. So if Thiago did that to me and said, oh my God, she's gotten fat, I can't have sex with her, she grosses me out, she creeps me out, I throw her a bone, and my picture's there, and all people have to do is click on, I would be humiliated. I'd be like, this guy doesn't love me at all. He's been lying to me the whole time. I can't believe he would say this about me on social media, whether it be a group or not. Even if it's on a male, like a dad's group, I'd be like, oh my God, all these guys are looking at my picture and they're laughing at me. They're all joining in and they're bashing their wives and like, this is horrible. Why would they do that to people they don't know? Like these women that were even commenting on this post on the original post were just blasting their husbands. I'm like, how could you do that? You're supposed to love and respect this man. Why would you marry him if you don't? I don't get that. And that's where these MGTOWs are justified. They see this behavior and they go, see, that's why I don't like women. That's why I don't trust women, because they do this shit.
So let's talk about your second post that you did. And I'm kind of curious what your inspiration was for this. Was it that after seeing all of this, it's like, well, let's go ahead and flip the genders around and see how people react?
Yeah, that's what it was. It was kind of like, okay, now I was going to make a post about a man as well, but I wasn't quite certain of how I would go about and what the story would be until I got the response from the other one. I'm like, okay, let's make this one sexual too, where uh, his wife wants sex, but he doesn't want to have sex. And it has to do with just having a baby as well, like being a new parent. Do you want me to read that?
Yes, please.
Okay. This is the title. I said, he tells his wife she's beautiful, but he needs porn to help him with intimacy issues because her breasts are sagging after giving birth to his twin daughters. This is shared from a dad group. Okay? It wasn't shared from a dad group, I just said that. And this is how the post goes. New dad here. My wife had our twin girls 3 months ago. The doctor gave us the green light for sex, but I'm finding that I'm just not into it. She's been very depressed about my lack of sex drive and blames her postpartum body. I lie to her and tell her that she's more beautiful than ever and that I'm just tired from the extra hours at work. I don't like to see her upset. I care about her, but not to sound like a pig. She just doesn't look attractive anymore. She used to be a gymnast and dancer, and now she's twice the body weight she used to be. Her breasts are sagging. She has a huge flap of skin hanging under her belly button. Like that's common for C-section. So in order to have sex, I watch porn in private while she's preparing the girls for their bedtime. I just can't get it up otherwise. And I make sure the lights are off so I don't have to see her. Is there any way I can overcome this? I see you other dads on here discuss sex after birth, but I need to know how to deal with this. That's how the post went. Did he say anything outwardly insulting? Really? He was being factual.
Well, he did say that he wasn't attracted to her. And
Yeah,
some could interpret that as, oh, so you're saying that she's ugly now. And
you could
he's
interpret that.
technically not saying that she is ugly. He's just saying that she's not my personal, um, uh, my taste in women. She doesn't represent that anymore.
Yeah, like basically saying this was the woman I was attracted to before, and I'm trying to adjust to what she looks like now. And I understand that she gave birth, and I don't want to hurt her feelings because I love her. What should I do?
And
Basically,
the thing I like about that post is it is a man coming forward saying, okay, maybe I'm a piece of shit. Maybe I'm a horrible, disgusting pig, but I want to be there for my wife. I just don't know how to do that. How do I get over my hangups
my
so I
mental,
can be there for my wife?
yeah,
And, you know, feminism talks a lot that they want men to talk about their feelings. They want them to be open and honest and all of that.
yeah,
But the moment a man is, they're shamed for it.
yeah.
And I'm going to guess that this man, this fictitious man that was really this beautiful woman we're talking to, was shamed for it.
Well, I mean, I know for a lot of women, they will complain as well if their husband puts on weight. They'll, oh, I can't have sex with him. He's gross. He's not this cut bodybuilding body that used to be there anymore. I'm having trouble getting used to that, you know, because women are visual as well as men, but men, they're if they can't get in the mood, there's not going to be sex. You know what I mean? All we have to do is lie there, really, for sex to happen. The man has to look and see something visually appealing, and that's his hang. He's kind of like, man, I'm even like watching porn to try to get into the mood so that I don't disappoint her. I'm trying to do my duty sexually.
Well, I find that so funny because a lot of women have admitted that they think about having sex with someone else when they're with their partners. So why
Right.
is that okay, but watching porn is bad?
Right.
And I don't think women should feel threatened by men watching porn. I mean, sometimes we need to watch some porn, It's not like, yeah, I have access to this beautiful woman, but if I had sex with her as often as I wanted her to, probably be like, yeah, I need like a couple of months away from you.
Well, I mean, not every woman, uh, more often than not, women have a higher sex drive than what they say they do, you know? And if they're imagining being with another man, then they just aren't with the right man. Like, while I've been with Diago, I've never imagined another man because I am attracted to him. And I mean, my ex, though, I had to block everything out because I just wasn't into it. I wasn't attracted to him. And I mean, guys, just because a guy is finding attraction to another woman or getting turned on by another woman doesn't mean he's going to go sleep with her. And it doesn't mean that he's betraying his wife by having feelings like that or his girlfriend. It's just that men have a drive just as well as women have a drive. And women read these erotic novels like 50 Shades of Grey, things like that. And yet they're going to be upset with their husband for watching porn. Isn't that the same thing?
Yeah, 50 Shades of Grey. Erotic.
Oh,
Sorry, I
romance.
have a deep hatred of that book. So, and mostly from a literary sense, being an author, I hate the way that book is written. But no, you're perfectly right. I mean, I've seen those kind of books, those dime store novels that, just pretty much just sex lambasted all over it.
Right.
So,
And so if
and,
a woman reads it, do you think she's not going to imagine that this fictional character is the man she's in bed with when her husband's there? Does that never happen? And you're going to get upset that he may be imagining another woman. I don't think that's always the case. If you're married to a person or you're in a relationship with a person you're attracted to, I don't think you're going to be imagining that porn star. You're going to be
well, I
looking.
don't think men necessarily imagine themselves fucking these porn stars. They just like the action that's going on. It's almost like something we're not supposed to see, and yet we are, and that's what can get us off. At least for me, that's what it is. I watch a lot of lesbian porn. I don't think for 1 minute they're going to sleep with me. They're lesbians. By the very definition, they wouldn't be into me.
Mhm.
But for me, it's just like I'm watching something happen. That's it. I don't really see myself with
It's
these women.
not so it's more the it's for men it's maybe more the action than the person that you're getting off on maybe I guess like
Right.
for women though it's kind of I don't know why it's such a huge deal unless that's all he's doing and he's not having sex with you. Now if you are being neglected and that's all he wants to do, that's an issue. And I was in a relationship like that. So I mean it's years ago, and I mean he wanted to watch the porn and I would just be waiting up and I'm like, okay, I guess he's not attracted to me. So I mean, there's balance in life. um if you're in a relationship with someone, you have to have some kind of a sexual relationship with them. You can't just rely on getting your kicks off on what you see on the internet.
Well, the relationships that I feel sorry for is the ones where people have been married for a while and the woman has kind of grown out of wanting sex. But
Okay.
because, and then men, they still want to have sex even in their old age.
Yeah.
But because they're married, they now have to accept that there's no sex whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, you shouldn't be cheating on your spouses, but at the same time, what's a man supposed to do? He wants to have sex,
Right.
and the person he, married not just for the sex, but the person that's supposed to be there for him for his sexual needs is
Mm-hmm.
no longer there for him.
Right.
So now he's stuck in
Yeah.
this relationship and he's getting no fulfillment from it.
Right. And that also brings me back to what this woman said, like we don't have to, guys are not entitled to having sex with us. But what if you're a stay-at-home mom, or not even a mom, you just stay at home and he works and he supports you. He is bringing something to the table by giving you a roof over your head, feeding you. He's giving you a lifestyle. And what are you giving in return? Doing dishes, cooking? Well, he can do that. Guys live on their own, they know how to cook and clean. What are you offering him? I mean, it is an arrangement. It is like glorified prostitution. I wouldn't say marriage is prostitution, but you know what I mean. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
he's giving you resources, and all a man's needs are simple. He just wants to be fed, and he wants to have sex, and he wants his leisure time. That's usually what I find. Guys want to have time for their hobbies. They want to have time for their friends. Uh, if you're not giving him sex, why should he support you? I mean, if you're not happy, then leave. Then stop taking his money. I'm sorry. Like, if you don't want to have sex with the guy, do something about it and let him. I mean, it's like you're starving somebody if you're not giving them sex. And like I said, I was in a sexless relationship. It drives you absolutely insane. And I've met other people uh, who started open relationships now. I won't mention any names, but I have some friends who have talked to me in light of recent posts that I made about polyamory. And they said, well, I'm polyamorous, but it's because my spouse has no drive. And this is coming from men and women alike. And they say, well, my spouse gave me a free pass. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, if that works for you, that works for you, I guess. But I can't relate because for me, if I'm not having sex with somebody, I'm just gonna leave. I'm just gonna not staying in the relationship. I'm not gonna drag this person along.
And I don't know what your personal opinion is of polyamory, but to me, what you've just described is not polyamory, it's an open relationship.
Yeah.
Polyamory is when everyone is involved. Like if I'm with someone in a committed relationship and we decide to be polyamorous, and I want to bring a person in, maybe the person is just for me, maybe the person's for both of us.
Yeah.
No matter what, the
Mm-hmm.
person I'm with has to approve of the person. I can't just bring another person in there. And
Right.
it's not just about having sex, it's about um, having a new love in my life. But I've seen those situations though where I had a friend who she would sleep around a lot. She was married, but she would just like sleep with everyone she could, and her husband got sick of it. So he's like, okay, well, let's have a poly relationship. So it's not that you're cheating on me, it's that you're having other relationships.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of what you just described there. It's like we're in a sexless marriage, so we decided to open it up so I could get what I need. And it's like, that's not a solution. That's just a band aid on an open wound. I mean,
Right.
it doesn't even really fix anything, you know. And as bad as this sounds, if you're in a sexless relationship and you want sex, get out. And yes, people are going to shame you for, oh, well, all you just want is sex, sex, sex. And it's like, why is that a bad thing? Why is it a bad thing to want to have sex? And if someone's not giving me what I need, then I need to go somewhere who will give me what I need. Why is that wrong?
Right. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, the marriage itself, just marrying somebody. And when I look at marriages that are open, I'm not talking about dating, but marriage itself is the promise of giving each other your body for sex. So why would you deny the other person? I mean, that's a contract that you're entering. What else is marriage for other than having a sexual relationship? I don't get it. You know, what else is it for then? Just then why don't you just live together and share the rent? If that's what
I'll
it
tell
is.
you I'll tell you what marriage is. Marriage is an opportunity for women to get men to pay for their lifestyles and then divorce them and continue having that lifestyle. Marriage has become a business for wretched women. But while Rachel's doing her thing, I'm going to read a couple of these comments from this second post. Um, let's see. Someone's like, someone said, well, one person like, what a little piece of shit. That was a woman. A man said, sound like he was thinking below the waist when he got married in the first place. What a sad excuse for a man.
Men aren't supposed to want to have sex from their wife. I know. It's awful.
Another person, what a douche. Here's a woman. This is from a private group. No, it's not. Why do people honestly think it is okay to screenshot and start sharing? Also, since none of you genius people see the difference in this post from the woman earlier, I'll spell it out. She blamed herself for not having a sex drive. She blamed her recent birth and just did not have a sex drive. She said all of his pressure and groping made her skin crawl. She never said he was disgusting or described how disgusting his body was. This guy's only reason for not wanting his wife is because she just gave birth to their twin daughters and her body is no longer perfect and he wants to have sex, just not with her. The woman from the other screenshot earlier was not flicking her bean in secret. You don't like it when it's publicly posted, but that doesn't stop you from commenting on it.
Right. Yet here you are commenting, right?
Yeah. So
yeah, and a lot of the time it's projection because they get insult, they find offense because somehow it relates to them. They're not going to say how, but it's really, you know what I mean? Maybe she put on weight after she had a baby and her husband asked her to lose weight. I don't know. I don't know. But somewhere there's this butthurt that they feel this projection like they wouldn't want this happening to them. They wouldn't want their husband to make a post like this about them.
And I love your comment here. How do you know for certain it's from a private group? It's blacked out.
Yeah, exactly. I even said, how do you know this isn't me? Like, I don't know if I said it on this post or the other one. I said, how do you know that maybe I didn't write this and I blacked it out? How do you guys? It's so anonymous, you have no idea. So how am I extorting anybody? Am I doxing anybody?
You also said, I think the guy has some valid points. I get it. I wouldn't want to have sex with a postpartum woman either. No offense. Well, offense taken, damn it.
I didn't like the way I looked after having a baby either, you know, honestly. Takes a while to get the body back, but I mean, some guys have no issue with it. A lot of actually, I'd say more guys than guys that exist have no issue with it. Most guys have no issue whatsoever.
And the person who made the initial complaint, she speaks again. You people are absolutely horrible. Honestly, all you can comment on is that I'm assuming that this wasn't from a closed group and not on the valid points I made.
What valid points were those again?
Uh, the fact, well, what she initially said was that, basically the difference between the man and the woman. The woman's like, well, he's groping me and he's always wanting sex and makes my skin crawl, where this guy is just, jacking off to porn. And somehow the guy is worse for doing this than the woman.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in all honesty, between the two posts, I think the woman is a lot worse, in all honesty.
Right. And
Because
it has, I mean, if we were to just leave the gender out of it completely, the woman is still worse. You know,
mm-hmm.
because these women were accusing me of being anti-feminist and anti-woman and whatever, making it look like the woman was worse. But I said, hey, if the man's post, if he would have gone that route and said she disgusts me, she makes my skin crawl, like I throw her a bone, that's just as bad as what the woman said then. But here he's actually asking for help. He actually says that he cares about her.
Yeah,
Whereas the
he
other woman,
definitely does. He doesn't want to hurt her feelings. He doesn't say anything negative about her
not
in
a no,
any
not at
way.
all. No. He's just trying to get past the sagging skin and the weight gain. Um, asking other men, how do you cope with that, or how did you get past that, or did anybody have an issue? He's not saying, "Come on, guys, let's bash our wives together." You know, it's not like he's going, "Hey, she's so gross." Am I right? Those women after they give birth, they're just so gross. That's kind of like the vibe that the woman was giving. Is like, "Oh my God, I just don't want to have sex now with him." Anybody else feel the same way? Like they creep you out?
Well, Modern Medusa left a post. She's saying, looking good. Thank you. I do think I'm looking good. No, I'm sure she was talking about Miss February here. She is looking good.
Well, I
Of course,
think.
I didn't say that because, Diago.
Oh, you know what? It's funny you mentioned that because before we met, I barely posted any pictures of myself online at all. Like if I had a selfie, I was covered completely, like no cleavage whatsoever, nothing. And
This is how I did a selfie.
there you go. And he's actually the type where he's like, why would you hide yourself from the world like that? Because I grew up a very traditional, religious traditional person, and you just don't show skin, and I just kind of was in that mode where you stay as modest as possible. And he's like, no, he's like, I like these pictures of you that you sent me. I want to post them. So I mean, he's very open about that. He was actually all for the calendar too. I've had a lot of women bash me about it.
Yes, thank you for the showing of the skin, honestly.
Yeah, I've
Actually,
got a side
well,
with
point of interest for anyone out there, when I wanted to, I initially asked Rachel, and she's like, well, check with Thiago first. And I actually talked to him. I had a full conversation with him about it, and right from the beginning, he was all for it. So,
yeah. Um, because for him, he's not possessive in that way. He's kind of like, well, I don't care if a guy finds my wife attractive. He's like, as long as she's not out there contacting these guys and trying to get off with them. Uh, and I've actually I would say 99% of guys will be very respectful. They'll say, you're very attractive, you're beautiful, and I'll go, thank you. I have had the occasional one that says that he's beating off and he wants to call me. Um, very, very rarely. I think maybe two or three guys have done that. But for the most part, guys are not these dirty, nasty pigs that feminists want to make them out to be. They're usually very respectful. Even when they don't know that I'm not married, they're still very respectful. And when they find out, they go, "Oh my, he's a lucky man." And I'm like, "Well, thanks. That's nice of you to say." I'm not gonna go, "Shut up! Don't compliment me. I'm a married woman." Like.
well, and, I can attest to that because, I'm an overtly perverted person. I make sex jokes left and right. But usually when I meet a new woman, especially online, I will generally private message her and it's like, look, I just like to joke around a lot. I'm not really trying to come on to you. I'm a big flirt. So, let me know if I ever cross any lines because I want to respect people, but I also want to have fun. I mean, I am who I am. So I
Well,
think most
yeah.
men are very respectful.
And I mean, Thiago, he knows how to talk to women, and I've seen him banter with women, and I don't sit there going, like, how dare you? You hurt my feelings. Like, no, people do flirt even when they're married, but it doesn't mean you want to have sex with the person. It just, there's like this safe amount of flirting where it's just like done in jest. You know what I mean? It's kind of uh, like he'll say things oh, oh, are you wearing that shirt for your boyfriend, or he'll say things like, oh, you want us all to look at your eyes, right? How beautiful your eyes are. It's just like if a woman's showing a lot of cleavage or something, and they'll laugh about it, you know. it's not meant to be like now he wants to go and screw this girl. He's just having fun with her. People do that. Adults do that. They flirt with each other
Well,
just kind of on a joking level, you know?
well, even before the show, I mean, I was flirting with you. I was saying just cute little things like, how I thought that we were talking about how your body gets to a certain weight and just kind of
Yeah.
stays there no matter
Yeah.
how much you eat and all that. And she was
How much
telling
you
me that her body does the same thing. And I'm like, so is that around 98 pounds or just
Yeah.
simple flirting? But.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, making a comment about someone's body here and there, oh my God, my feelings are so, you know, you're so oppressive. People are way too sensitive. And a lot of these feminists, Anita Sarkeesian even made an article about it, how as you get older, men don't catcall you anymore. I don't know if you remember that one. And then she had the
Yeah.
title changed because she's kind of giving herself away that she wants to be catcalled.
Oh no, no, that wasn't Anita Sarkeesian. That was
Or was that not Anita? That was, let me check.
I'm forgetting her name. But she's a columnist,
She is a
not bad
columnist.
looking. God, I can't remember her name right now. That's going to really bug me. But yeah, she made a post because she's getting on in years. She's like 50 now or something. And she basically said, I'm I hate the patriarchy for making me miss being catcalled. That,
That
she
was
fought
Anita.
so hard not to be catcalled, but now because she's not catcalled, she wants to be catcalled. And
Yeah,
then later changed the premise of she did change the title of it
yeah,
for that.
yeah, because it's funny because when they're young, it's so easy for them when they're young and they're in their prime. Oh my God, how dare you pigs cat call me? And then they, what these MGTOW like to call hit the wall, and then they get no attention and they're like, wait a minute, now they want it. So no wonder guys are confused, like, so you want to be catcalled or you don't want to be catcalled, or it's
Right.
easy to bash men when you're in your prime, but then once you get older, it's like the attention diminishes and now you're missing the attention. You don't make any sense. Isn't this what you wanted?
So going back to your social experiment, having seen these two posts and certainly making the last thing, you got a lot of negative attention coming your way, getting dogs, getting harassed, basically being called a bully.
Yeah, I got
Even
removed from a bunch of groups, moms groups, activist groups. These women were administrators of. They were scared I would screenshot group pictures, and so yeah, they also spread my picture around on their posts saying don't add women to your groups.
mm, well, so the topic of today's show is about male empathy, and here we're definitely seeing that in both of these cases, the empathy went towards the women. Even
Yes.
though in the second post it was a man posted, and it's like, oh, he's such a bastard, how dare he not find the extra flabby skin attractive? That's the most attractive part of a woman, or something like that.
Well, in all fairness, it's not her fault either, right? I
Right,
mean, that's where you can have the empathy for the woman, but like I said, he was being civil about it. He wasn't bashing her. He was just being observant of how her body looks now compared to what it looked before, how he's trying to overcome it. That's all. He wasn't calling her creepy, not like the other woman was, calling her husband creepy.
but did, how aware were you? And I think I actually know the answer to this, but I want it for the audience. How aware were you of the disconnect of empathy between men and women, and how has this experience um, altered that or enhanced that previous thought?
I always knew that since we live in a gynocentric centered society where women are going to be sympathized with more. It's just how it is. I know the suicide rates of men. I know that that's due to the fact that usually aren't empathized with or listened to like women are. Women usually have group friends. This is where women, I have to applaud women because they tend to form groups and they will support one another when there's problems. That's great. Men don't always do that when they should be. You know, men need to have male friends that will listen to them when they have issues. Whereas men will tend to listen to women and women will listen to women. But women don't want to listen to men, and some men don't want to listen to other men either, which is something I knew already. But in all honesty, on my post with my friends list, I thought I had some really solid people there. I actually wasn't expecting to have that much negative response. I was actually expecting to have maybe at the most one or two people that were kind of surprised, but maybe misunderstood the post. I wasn't expecting that kind of backlash, not from the people I thought were pretty solid. So yeah, it did surprise me a bit, the disconnect that was there. But I mean, I guess it just helped me weed out the bad people from, I don't want people on my friends list who don't care. Like if you're gonna have that attitude, I don't want you here. It's a good thing that you blocked me because I would have blocked you in the end. So I mean, it kind of, you get to know people after a while and see if they're worth keeping around. This kind of sped it up for me. Like, okay, yep, I haven't had you as a friend here very long, but now I know. So, and it's funny, the women who did this were from intactivist groups where they should care about men. Like I thought you guys cared about men going through suffering. So that's where I was surprised.
Yeah. One of the reasons why I dated my ex is that she was really in support of men's issues. She wasn't really a part of the movement, but she knew that I was, and she agreed on so many of the points. So there's a lot of reasons I was with her, but that really helped things, move along.
Mm-hmm.
And, the one thing that I learned from that is that just because a woman says she supports men's rights doesn't mean that she's not batshit crazy.
Yeah. I found that out when I was in Voice for Men. Long story there. But there were some females that were in charge, and trust me, not very stable. um, Basically, I've seen this in a lot of men's rights movements where when the women come in, the guys are going to pander to the woman and they're going to forget all about what the cause is.
Yeah.
So she could be throwing other women under the bus and they'll just join her. Oh, yeah, women are awful, and they go on this tangent. It's like, okay, I got ousted out just for disagreeing with a woman. She had the power to get rid of me, so she did. So I mean, all the work I did was nothing, really. To them, it was like, well, you don't really care about men because she believes that you don't. No proof, but she just thinks so. She thinks you're just here because, yeah, you want to put your face out there. You want to seduce men. Like, okay, so all this time I spent for free writing all these articles for you guys, that was for that? Okay, sure.
And, to be fair for anyone who's still listening after this long, which I hope you are because it's a lot of great stuff, and I'm an exhibitionist, so I like when you watch me. We're not bashing all women here. I mean, obviously,
Oh,
I'm
no.
to a woman who I don't know if you really consider yourself part of the men's movement, but you definitely do care about men and their issues. There are a
I do.
lot of really great women out there. I'm friends with some great women out there who do some amazing work.
Yeah.
The big point that I like to stress, and I think that Rachel here is stressing as well, is that just because a vagina walks in and it's like, yeah, men's rights, doesn't mean that we should automatically give her the keys to the castle.
No.
Just like any man that comes into this movement, they need to demonstrate that they really do care, that they really support this. And the way that they do that is with their actions. But
Yeah.
And this is why feminism has taken off like it has
Mm-hmm.
over the last 100 years, is that when a woman needs something, men will just fall over themselves trying to help them out.
Right.
And
Right.
go ahead.
I'm not trying to bash women. I'm a woman. This is just from me observing, and I have some amazing female friends who are very active in the men's rights movement that really do make a difference, and I'm so proud of them. But like, there's always some weeds among the flowers in a garden, you know? So, I mean, you're gonna have some that are just there for the attention, and I get that. I understand why they would suspect that. I mean, the pictures my husband posts of me on Facebook, for instance, or me being in a calendar. Okay, maybe you think I'm in it for attention, but look at the works that I've done. Yeah. Um, I mean, look at the works that I've done. That's not going to change. I'm still going to be compassionate over the issues, whereas some women don't do a thing for men, but they just want to come on the scene because it's a group of men who are going to pander to me. So you got to be careful of that. And I think women can make a huge change for men in the men's rights movement, but you need the right women in there. Like, you shouldn't block them out completely, but I also believe you shouldn't be giving them the keys either. You should just let them help, you know, but still stand for what you want to stand for without having to pander to this woman throwing a pity party. But that's my opinion. I mean, hey, you know, if you think women should be in charge, all power to you. But maybe it's my traditional upbringing, but I just feel like this is a men's group. Let the men be in charge. Let them be in charge. And if you want to help, then do it. You know, but don't try to take over the leadership and make this into your own movement.
No, I 100% agree with that one. I don't mind women in leadership positions within the movement. And I agree with you that the right women can make an effective change. And,
Yeah.
it's like one of my closest friends, Elizabeth, she's one of the Liberty Bells. I mean, I would think is one of the right females. She
Mm-hmm.
really goes out and tries to make a difference. She's always working. She shows a lot of great empathy.
Yeah.
And
You got the honey badger movement, which is amazing. They've
hmm,
started their own movement. I think if you can start, what I mean is, if it's a men's rights movement that was started by a man, um, that's where you don't want to hand the keys over to a woman. But if women want to start a men's rights group of their own, that's a woman started it. That's all great. You see what I
yeah,
mean? Like, you don't want to have that person coming in and usurping authority over what you're trying to achieve. Whereas, like I said, women can do amazing things. Like, I look at the honey badgers, and they've done so much awareness. And
I
as
used to be
being
a honey
women,
badger.
I'm sorry.
I used to be a honey badger.
Oh yeah, right. I remember. Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely a well-known name among people in the movement.
But let's kind of wrap this up and let's get back with male empathy here.
Yeah.
I really love the work that you do. And I only see what you do through Facebook. If there's other things you do, then stop holding out on me and tell me about it. But I love the social experiments you've done. And the last time I had you on for a social experiment was actually for male empathy in a way, because it was about pictures being posted of men and women. You encourage
Yeah.
people to post pictures,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
then you made a notice like, well, so many more women got posts
Yeah.
than men. And
Yeah.
everyone's like, well, men are just more visual. And I tallied all of that up.
You did. You did an amazing graph. Yeah.
Thank you. And the conclusion I drew from all of that was the majority of the people who posted for women were women.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I
Women
think
were
that's across a
complimenting
lot of
women.
people. Go
Women
ahead.
were complimenting women, and men were complimenting women. But when the men posted pictures, they posted way less pictures too, the guys. But when the men post the pictures as like crickets, like barely anybody complimenting or even hitting the like, I'm like, come on, guys, just hit a like. Doesn't mean you're gay, you know. or give the guy some support, or women. Just because you're married doesn't mean you can't tell him he's attractive. So yeah, like, and the women did post a lot more provocative pics as well as the guys did. So I mean, it's interesting to note.
And you touch on a very good key point right there that I've always trying to encourage people to do. I mean, and well, first off, you're saying just because you say a guy is attractive doesn't mean you're gay. I mean, I've been saying that Thiago is really hot, and
Right.
I'm not gay-ish.
Oh,
But
are you did you not say once that you were bisexual, or am I wrong?
I'm heteroflexible. I know it's a
Heteroflexible?
social
Okay,
justice
that's a new
warrior.
term. Yeah,
It's
I
a social
mean,
justice warrior term, but it describes me perfectly that I'm like 95% attracted to women, but every now and then there's a guy that
oh,
I'll
okay.
sleep with. And
Like
no, Thiago's not a guy I'll sleep with. He's way too muscular for me.
well, how is it that women can compliment other women and not be accused of being lesbian?
Oh, that's true.
So why is there that stigma? You know, why can't a guy go and say, "Hey, dude, you look good," you know?
Yeah.
Um, just say it in a guy way. I mean, you don't have to go all crazy and say, "Oh my God, you're gorgeous, you're amazing." Like that's what girls do. Just to hit a like, that just doesn't mean anything.
Right. I mean, if anything, and now you have different options there of the different types of likes, which I don't think was available back then. So, I mean, you can just like give a person a thumbs up for being brave enough to post a picture.
Of
But
course.
the other thing that I wanted to comment on what you were just saying is that, there's not enough compliments given to men.
No.
And we've unfortunately created this system between men and women that if a man is complimented by a woman, he thinks that she is into him.
Because it's
Because
so rare.
the only time a man receives a compliment from a woman is when they're in a relationship or she wants to pursue a relationship with
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And very few times does he receive any compliments outside of that. Now, women complain about this. It's like, well, every time I compliment a man, he thinks I want to sleep with him. And it's like, yeah, it's an unfortunate system that we came into, but we need to break this. We need to start being able to compliment men, whether it's a man complimenting a man or a woman complimenting a man or
Yeah.
any of the other 28 genders out there complimenting a man. But we need to be
Yeah.
able to compliment each other. And yeah, it's going to suck at first that it's like, oh, this crazy she-male is complimenting me. Does she want to suck my dick? Oh, but if we keep doing it, maybe a generation later, it'll be commonplace. And I
Right.
do think that it would help reduce the rate of suicide because then men can feel like they're appreciated, that they are welcomed
Hmm.
more in society if
Yeah.
people are more giving of compliments to men.
Right. That is something that I like online. I try to make a point of it, especially if a guy has an achievement of some sort, because I know for men, they like to be complimented on their looks, but I think achievement is something that they rarely get recognized for as well. So it's kind of like, oh my God, you passed your exam, or you got this job, or you bought a place, or good for you. That's amazing. I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you. I know Prentice sometimes posts pictures of his progress when he goes to the gym, and I'm like, wow, that looks amazing. You look great. You know, I try to, and I'm not lying or saying this just to make them feel good. I actually mean it. I'm like, you know what? That's awesome. And this is making you feel happy in life. This is making you feel successful. I actually have a friend, I have a female friend who compliments men and catcalls them all the time. And she's so funny. Like I love her attitude. She's so spunky. She's like the life of the party type of a girl. She came over to my place one day, and the meter reader, the guy showed up. He's like, "I'm here to inspect your meter," and and he's like, "Could I do that?" And I said, "Oh yeah, absolutely. It's back there." And she says, "Oh, I'm meter. Like do you want to be inspected?" And she was like catcalling him while he was working, and it's like, "Oh, I like your orange vest," and stuff like that. And he was just giggling. Like, I think it made his day better.
Yeah.
Just he probably
Well,
rarely gets female attention.
And even in our conversation in the pre-show that we had, I mean, it's like one of the first things you said to me was, "Oh, it looks like you've lost weight," and I'm like, "Oh, well, that's nice of you to say." I don't think you were feeding me a line. I think you were
No,
being
you do.
genuine in that. Thank you.
No, you do. Like your neck looks thinner than last time. And your complexion looks really good compared to recent pictures I've seen. So you look like you've been doing well.
Well,
You know what
thank you.
I mean? Yeah. And I really like the way you've been growing your hair out. It looks good.
Good, because I'm thinking about cutting it back to short again. I hate my hair.
You
Ah!
know, oh no, you would totally look cool if you grew it out and put it like had one of those. Like, ponytail doesn't work on every guy, but I think it would work.
I've tried growing my hair out long. It doesn't look good.
No?
No, no, this is about the longest I really want it,
Oh,
but no, I mean, certainly it made my day for you to compliment me, and I know that you're not going to jump my bones because, well, Thiago. I mean, if you haven't seen her husband, I mean, if I could be gay for Thiago, I would be, but again, not my type.
oh, is he the
But
5%?
he's an attractive man.
Is he the 5% for you? Or no, is he not your type?
No, no, no. That would have to be the 6%, but I'm a 5% guy, so
Oh, okay. Yeah, no,
he's almost there.
he's like the tall, dark, and handsome stereotype, I guess we could say, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
He has friends call him Antonio Banderas, so he's had all kinds of names. Like he has one of those I wouldn't say generic looks, but he's got one of those looks like he could look like so many different people because he has quite a racial mix. So he could look like he's from India or Pakistan, or he could look like man, I'm trying to think of all these different. He could look like he's from Mexico. He even looks like a white guy in some of his pictures. So I mean, he's very diverse in his look. Um,
Yeah, I've been curious what his
national.
nationality is, but that's kind of a weird thing to go up to someone. It's like,
So,
so what were your parents before they fucked?
yeah, his dad looks very much like a white guy, whereas his mom looks like your Afro Brazilian type of a woman, like darker skin, very black hair, curly. Um, that's his mom, and his dad. He's almost like a Burt Reynolds type of looking guy, and he's very white skin. And he said his dad was blonde at one point, but in his older age, he got dark hair. So I think he could correct you if I'm wrong, but I think there's Spain and Portugal in the bloodline. Uh, he was born in Brazil. That's where his parents were. But like you got to keep in mind, Brazilian people, it's very multicultural. Like Canada is multicultural. There's no distinct race there. So I've seen blondes from Brazil. I've seen redheads from Brazil. So, but his mom looks like your stereotypical Brazilian. If you would think of Brazil, if you think of like Hispanic women. So, but she's like the darker, short, wiry woman. As in, like, she's got energy. Like, she's in her 60s and she's still on the go all the time.
So, is there any sort of projects that you're working on now, or anything that you like to talk about as we're closing up the show?
Right now, I'm not doing really anything. I'm kind of taking a break because we're going through some. I'm preparing to go back to Canada again. So that means being apart from my husband again. So we're going through some immigration stuff. So I've taken a bit of a break from Facebook and we're trying to work on him getting a visa and all that. All that takes time, right? And
Wait, wait. You're from Canada. That means you're the legal immigrant. So,
well, I mean, yeah. I mean, if I stay past 6 months, I'll be illegal, yes. So I have to go back at the 6 month mark. But yeah, I really do enjoy winter
well, I
here.
bet you do. I one day want to go to Canada, but not during the winter time.
Oh, no, don't do that. Well, if you're gonna go to the prairies, don't go in the wintertime. Manitoba, Saskatchewan, you don't want to go there. Alberta, even. Ontario, they say isn't too bad. I live in the prairie. They say
Arizona, anywhere up north is bad for me.
oh,
I don't like the cold.
well, let me tell you. They cancel school only when it gets to minus 45.
So I'm
Before,
never going to Canada.
yeah, you get used to the cold. Like you just, I would say winter. It's just like I'm in a bad mood the whole winter, and as soon as spring comes, it's like, oh my God, thank you. You know, we're gonna get some temperatures where my eyeballs aren't gonna freeze the second I open the door. So, yeah, it's definitely a challenge. You have to bundle up. You have to be careful which roads you're driving on. You don't want to freeze to death. People do lose limbs out there, so it's not a very forgiving time of the year. So here, when people say it's cold, I'm kind of like, okay, okay, what, you got snow? Oh my God, how awful! You got snow today. They don't hardly have snow here in the winter. I mean, there I'm shoveling every other day just to get off my driveway.
So when it snows in Massachusetts, you're wearing shorts.
Um, usually 2 days after you'll see people walking around. You wouldn't be able to do that up in Manitoba. It's just not going to happen. They said it's actually colder than the North Pole and it's colder than Mars during the winter. So that gives you an idea. I really do believe it's probably the coldest place on Earth.
Well, between the choice of the two of Canada and Mars, I'd rather choose Mars.
Well, in summertime it's great, but just come during the summer and be prepared for the mosquitoes. That's all I have to say. Just wear the repellent. You'll be fine.
All right, so I think that's going to wrap it up for us today. I really thank you, Rachel, for coming on and talking about this social experiment. I think it doesn't really tell us anything new, things that we didn't already know, but I think it's, one of the most important things with social experiments is that we need to test them and retest them again. And I kind of feel like, you're retesting an old thing that we knew to prove that it still remains.
Some things will never change, pretty much.
I'm hoping that's not true in all honesty.
Yeah,
But it's going to take a lot of work from a lot of people to make it change.
What needs to happen is that gynocentrism can be healthy to a certain extent. Extreme gynocentrism isn't. Gynocentrism was a thing of survival, whereas women wanted to be protected because we were the ones having the babies. What needs to happen for us in this day and age is that it's kind of at the point of equality now. We're the ones working just like men. We're the ones that are kind of, you know what I mean? Not all of us are stay-at-home moms anymore that rely on the system. So, like, it starts as little girls already. You got to stop coddling your little girls and treating them like princesses, like they're entitled to everything. There needs to be fairness. And it starts at a young age. Once you're older, it's kind of hard to unteach that.
And just real quick, what is your approach with your daughters? I know you have like two, three of them.
I have 3 daughters, yeah.
Three. How do you approach raising them? I mean, it seems almost too easy to treat them as princesses. How do you differ from that?
I think it's different. As the mother, I think fathers. I'm not trying to bash, but I think fathers tend to treat them more like that sometimes, like more of the delicate. Let's be a little more delicate because they're the girl type of attitude. For me, it's kind of like I know how girls think, and I know you're trying to kind of manipulate your way out of this situation. Because girls tend to have manipulation skills at a young age already. And they use it to their advantage because, let's face it, we're not physically strong like men naturally, so we use our mind, we use manipulation. And so I catch that. Men don't always catch that when they're raising their daughters. So for me, I have to step back and go, well, ho, she's trying to get out of this. Don't you see that? She's putting on a show. She's acting like it's like she's really hurt by what she did, but she's not. She's just putting on the waterworks to get out of a punishment. What I do with my girls already, I have one who's turning 13 this year. So I've been talking to her about female sexuality and how we're different from guys and how um, she needs to kind of be treating guys because guys will be showing interest in her. So, how to be respectful towards guys, how not to act entitled, how not to choose a mate based on what he can do for you, but how much you like him as a person. Things like that. I'm not going to teach her to be a gold digger.
So what I'm taking away from this is that when you had her, you were 13 years old because you had to be 26.
Oh boy. Yeah. Well, I mean, my first marriage, I got married very young. I was 20 when I got married. So, um, I'm actually pushing 40. I'm going to be 38 this year. It's really scary. But thanks though. Yeah, but I mean, I try to instill as much as I can on them. There's still that biological instinct we're all born with. Women have this. I have biological tendencies I have to overcome with other women. So I mean, I kind of have to step back and go, like I said before, I have PMS. I'm not acting rational. Let me step back. You know, I'm the one with the issue right now. It's not you. It's me. You know, we like to kind of spread our problems and say it's the man. It's always the man. Like you're irritating me, so it's all on you. Like, no, wait a minute. It's my brain. It's my hormones. Yeah, this is me. So, I mean, you got to kind of control yourself to some extent.
And us men, we have our natural urges as well. You know, we want to
Oh, men have to
just,
control every day. Yeah.
yeah, even me, I mean, I'm not the most manly man out there, but I still have some masculinity.
Well, if you
But
have testosterone, of course you do. Yeah.
yeah, and there are times where, I just want to throw shit. I want to punch my hand through a wall. But it wouldn't really be through a wall, be hitting the wall. But
Yeah.
I do have these desires, but I don't act on them. And
Hmm.
I'm almost pushing 40 myself. I just don't look as good as Rachel. But I've learned to better control these.
Hmm.
But when I was younger, it was a lot more of a challenge for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, men and women, we have to get over our natural tendencies to be more functional people in society.
Try to live
Unfortunately,
in harmony. Yeah.
yeah, unfortunately, in our society today, while men are required to do this, and I agree that they should be, women are not. They can get away with using their natural biological tendencies
Yeah.
and being seen as the victim.
Well, I mean, people tend to have this attitude towards women that they kind of group us in with the children. They kind of like, when the Titanic was going down, women and children first. I mean, they group us in with the children every time. It's kind of like, oh, they're delicate like children. They're infantile in the mind, and that's not true. That's not true. Not true at all. Not if we're capable of cutting a man's penis off or beating him to near death or it's just you're not giving us enough credit. I'm sorry, but we're not delicate little. Sure, I mean, like I said, we're physically not naturally strong, but men and women both have their own strengths and weaknesses. You can't group us. We're grown ass adults. You can't say we're children. You can't take away all responsibility and let us get away with things. That's part of the problem right there, is that we've been getting away with things for too long. So we just kind of expect men to let us get away with it. It's like, yeah, I'm going to hit you because I'm having my period, and you're going to let me get away with it because that's the social stigma I grew up. I was taught. I saw my mom doing this. I see other women doing it. It's okay. You guys let us do it.
Yeah.
So no,
No,
I mean, that's got to stop.
yeah, and I always say that, I've been a men's activist since I was a little boy, even though I didn't really know such a thing ever existed because I saw the unfair treatment that girls got simply for being girls.
Yeah.
That if a girl had done what a boy did, she would have gotten a slap on the wrist compared to a boy.
Yeah.
And that it was easier for her to get out of the responsibility of her actions. And
Yeah.
it's something that I even see in adult women. And I used to be in this mentality, like when I was in my 20s, I would date a woman who was in her 30s and 40s because she'd be more mature. She wouldn't be like the girls my age. Nope.
Yeah.
Not true at all.
always true. No, no, that's pretty sad. I've met women, my elder, who talk to me, and you would swear they're angsty teenage girls, and it's like you're supposed to be uh, wisdom to me. You're supposed to give me impart some wisdom, but you're not. You're less mature than I am. How is that possible at your age? I mean, I've blocked family members on Facebook for the posts that I made because they got offended. They were feminists, right? And they got offended. And I'm like, you're my aunt. Oh my God. You're 20 or 30 years older than me and you're throwing a fit, like a temper tantrum, like a 2-year-old. Why aren't you imparting some wisdom or talking to me at least in a decent way? If you don't understand what I'm posting, have a talk with me. Be mature about it. Inbox me even, instead of calling me names like you're throwing a tantrum on social media. You're making yourself look like an ass. I'm sorry, but you reach a certain age where that just doesn't look cool anymore. So yeah, like women have a lot of growing up to do it, and I think, you know, part of the reason is men need to stop treating us like children. So I'm all for men's rights, but that's one part where I have to say, hey men, you let us get away with it though. So that's got to stop.
100% agree with you on that. Any woman who wants to give me any bullshit, I'll be like, there's the door.
Yeah.
Call me an asshole all you want, but I don't. And it's like the phase that I'm at right now in my life. I'm seeing a couple of girls, but tell them straight up, I'm not looking for a relationship. I don't want to get into that right now because I don't have the energy to deal with that.
Yeah. So you're being honest. Great.
Yeah. Okay, we definitely have to end this, or else we're going to go on for another hour.
Well, yeah.
Which I won't mind, but we do. I do have other
We
things.
should do this again. Maybe bring up another topic, and I'll see if I can post something again that we can talk about, maybe, and we'll see how that goes.
Well, you are a great delight to talk to. I thank you for coming on here. And once again, thank you for doing this social experiment, not necessarily for my sake, but to really kind of show the masses out there that this is something that's still going on. As progressive as we think we are in this society, we're almost going backwards. We're almost going to a time when, and I know there's a lot of traditionalists out there, and I respect the romanticized version of what they think 100 years ago was like, but it really wasn't that great.
No.
And having to sacrifice themselves, go into coal mines or gold mines or a mercury mine, and it could be the last day while women, and this is kind of mean of me to say, basically sat back and raised the children. They got to live in safety while a man had to sacrifice himself. And it's almost like we're going back to that. That's the way society wants to go back, and that's something I'm fighting against. I don't want things the way it was. I want something new. I want something different where everyone is important. Everyone is needed.
Equality, right? That's what the feminists say they want, but I don't think you see any feminists wanting to go to the coal mine. So they want the office job with air conditioning, and they want to be CEOs without having to work for it. And this whole wage gap, because they take maternity leave and they don't want to work as many hours, or they don't want to get the diploma to get to become a doctor, and they want to be a nurse, but whatever,
And it's commendable that they want to raise their family, but you know what? A lot of men want to raise their family as well.
Sure. That's where family courts come in, where judges need to step back and see fathers just as important as the mothers. I mean, yeah, she gave birth to the child. That is a huge sacrifice for a woman. For a woman, that's the equivalent of a man going to a job that's dangerous every day. But she does it once every year, where she goes through a situation where it could possibly kill her having a baby. That's the sacrifice that we make. But I mean, you have one baby, and how many years does the man have to work to raise the baby? If he's the one that's the breadwinner, it's 18 years of child support. So, I mean, the fact that he's got to pay and most often is not going to have custody even to see the child, that's not fair. So, I mean, things have to change on that aspect.
And that's why I like the social experiments that you do, because you are demonstrating that these things are still out there. I mean, I wouldn't say that our group of friends are an echo chamber, but sometimes it can be a little too easy to believe that things are not as bad as they are. And that's why
Yeah.
I kind of like some of the friends we have, especially Prentice. I mean, I
Hmm.
don't read his anti-Trump stuff, but everything else he posts, the false rape stuff and all of that, it's just
Oh,
like every day it's like this is why I'm doing what I'm doing.
right. It's kind of a harsh reminder. It's almost, for me, I like to see the work that he and Thiago do put into posts and the research that they do. It's amazing and the time they put into it. But it's almost depressing after a while. It's kind of like, oh my God, when is this gonna? It's kind of like reading the bad news every when there's just a bad you know what I mean, a bad headline in the tabloids every day, like, oh no, another person got killed. Um, you kind of get this feeling of dread looking at it and go, oh my God, another false rape accusation. Oh
Well,
my God,
see, I
another false
actually
security.
have the opposite reaction from you.
Yeah.
I'm actually hopeful by all of this
Hmm.
because of the saying, it gets worse before it gets better. And feminists are doubling down. I mean, they should be
Um,
able to see the illogicness of their side, but they don't. They just want to keep entrenching themselves in their beliefs, even
yeah,
if we prove that they're wrong.
right.
And things are getting worse and worse and worse. And yes, I understand how demoralizing that can be for someone, but me, I'm choosing to see it as this is good because
Hmm.
people are starting to wake up and see how bad things are. And if we can
I
get
sure
enough
hope so.
people to wake up,
Yeah,
then we can get better.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there is a saying that goes that there's no way, there's no direction other than up when you hit rock bottom, right? So, like you said, they get worse before they get better, and I sure hope that we can get more women on board. I mean, I wasn't always at this point in my life either. I mean, I grew up with a very hardworking. My dad was like an industrial worker, and we grew up on a farm. He was always working hard just to support us, and that didn't go unnoticed on my part. But at the same time, you still kind of have that self entitlement that, I'm special because I'm a girl. Or, you feel like you're entitled to certain things just because you're a girl. And that's something I had to grow out of. That's something I had to start talking to guys more and asking them about how they felt about things. And you do, as a woman, sometimes kind of feel like you're more entitled to having your feelings uh, validated, you know? So I think when I became a mother, that really became more apparent to me because I had a son. My firstborn was a son. So you start looking at wanting to protect boys. A lot of women actually don't jump onto the men's rights movement until they do have sons because they start to realize, oh my God, I would do anything to protect this life. I wouldn't want him to be, you see false rape accusations or false paternity, and you go, oh my God, I would want that to happen. So you start to form empathy, and it's sad that it only happens then. It's not that I didn't have empathy before, but I was more passionate about it. I paid more attention.
Unfortunately, it's not happening for all mothers.
No,
Uh,
unfortunately.
Being
But
on OK Cupid like I have seen some mothers out there who still really hold on to this feminist ideal, even though they admit to having sons. And it's like, oh, I'm going to raise my son right. He's going to respect women and worship women and do
oh,
everything for women.
yeah.
And it's like, no, your son's most likely going to be accused of rape, even when he's not. And you're going to sit there and wonder, where did this movement go wrong? Why is my son being accused like this? He didn't do it.
Yep. Right. Yep. The girl consented, but now she's doesn't want to be known as a whore, so she's going and saying it's rape.
Yeah. But speaking of getting more women, we have 12 women right here. And this right here, don't think it's a penis. It's something else. You have to buy the calendar to find out what she's holding.
Okay.
But definitely, we do still have calendars available. As we mentioned, most of The money we make from this is going to charity. Vets, mentoring vets. It's a great charity that helps those and does help men and women, but mostly men who get out of the military but don't have any skills for civilian life. This group helps them out. Um, so it's $15 for a calendar. The PayPal link should be down below. Now, also, I have my Patreon. So if you have, a dollar or two, consider donating to me. Right now, I'm saving up for a computer. While I have a lot of issues going on, if I can get myself a modern computer where I can do video editing, I can start teaching online, I can start making better videos for YouTube, and I'm confident with that, I can start being able to take care of myself. I can get the health insurance I need, I can get work on this disability, and be able to support myself. So that's my big goal right now is just getting a computer that can render video and watch porn, but mostly the render video that I need. So there's my Patreon down below there. If you're not comfortable doing Patreon, I believe my PayPal is also down there, and also my book that I published. I have 5 books, but that one I'm most proud of. Buying that actually helps me out a lot because it gets me higher in search results. So there's my shill. You have any shilling you want to do?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. I've got to get back to my little girl, and she's been calling for mommy outside the door, and I'm like, oh, she loves daddy, but then after a while she doesn't see me. It's like, hey, where did mom go? So I'll go see what she wants, but this was such a joy. I hope I can do it again soon. Maybe we'll find another topic to talk about.
And maybe we'll make this a threesome.
Yeah, see if we can get the hubby on here, or maybe get Megan on here, or Vanessa.
All right, everyone, thank you so much. Unfortunately, didn't have too many viewers on this one, but hopefully, who knows? We'll get some views.
Let's see how it goes.
This is Mad Cat signing off.